United Kingdom as King Charles III and Queen Camilla are formally crowned at Westminster Abbey in a colourful ceremony watched by thousands of people around the world. Dozens of world leaders witnessed coronation of King Charles. President Muhammadu Buhari also in attendance. And the third batch of stranded Nigerians returned to the nation's capital, Abuja, more expected in the coming days. On Business News tonight, Nigeria's FX reserves increased by about $25 million week on week after 2 consecutive weeks of decline.
On Sports News tonight, Manchester City defeat Leeds United to open up a 4-point lead at the top of the table in the Premier League title race.
The crowd at Westminster Abbey in London today was unprecedented as King Charles III was crowned as the 40th monarch of England. The historic event had in attendance members of the royal family, celebrities from across the world, dozens of heads of state, and leaders like President Muhammadu Buhari. It was a colorful and glamorous occasion, even though it rained halfway into the ceremony. Our London Bureau Chief, Juliana Olainka, brings us some of the highlights in this next report.
For millions of people around the world, this historic day was their first opportunity to witness the pomp and pageantry of a coronation. For the Metropolitan Police, security personnel, and the tens of thousands of eager royalists, Coronation Day began at the crack of dawn.
I can sleep tomorrow.
The first guests arrived at Westminster Abbey at around 8:30 a.m. this morning. Among the 2,000 guests, some famous names. The political class. And extended members of the royal family. At 10:20 a.m., the King and his wife of 18 years began their 30-minute journey to the historic church from Buckingham Palace. Dignitaries seated, the service begins precisely at 11:01 a.m. The King, wearing the robe of state, walking slowly and solemnly through the Abbey, occasionally glancing at the guests and the choristers singing to greet his arrival. Prince George, his grandson and second in line to the throne, is seen here carrying the King's robe as one of Charles's 4 pages of honour. Carefully positioned, the King takes his oath.
Your Majesty, as children of the Kingdom of God, we welcome you in the name of the King of Kings.
In his name, and after his example, I come not to be served, but to serve.
The coronation oath has stood for centuries and is enshrined in law. Are you willing to take the oath?
I am willing.
Will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, your other realms and the territories to any of them belonging or pertaining, according to their respective laws and customs?
I solemnly promise so to do.
Then to the most sacred part of the service, the anointing. King Charles III is then crowned. The Archbishop of Canterbury taking a moment to ensure the precious item is well placed.
God save the King! God save the King!
I, William, Prince of Wales, pledge my loyalty to you, and faith and truth I will bear unto you, as your liege man of life and limb. So help me God.
Their Majesties made their way back to Buckingham Palace in this gold state coach, as thousands applauded and held up phones to capture a glimpse of the newly crowned royals in the 260-year-old carriage, preceded by military bands and soldiers in red coats and bearskin fur hats. And then this, one final symbolic moment. British royal history on full display. Millions around the world watching on television, tens of thousands braving the rain to celebrate the crowning of a sovereign as the United Kingdom enters a new era of monarchy. Juliana Olayinka reporting for Channels Television News in London.
Indeed, a sight for sore eyes as young and old from Britain and across the globe, tens of thousands of people gathered in central London for the coronation, drawn by a chance to witness a moment in history. Those who could not get a spot on the royal procession route were able to come together and celebrate the day with big screens installed across London and other parts of the country. Our London correspondent, Teniola Oyetayo, was at one of those viewing locations and now has this report.
Braving rainy weather and grey skies, hundreds of people streamed into Hyde Park in central London. It's one of several locations across the United Kingdom where big screens were erected for people to watch the coronation ceremony. Draped in red, white and blue, the weather couldn't dampen their spirits.
Yeah, it's a bit wet, but it's fine. Like, it's nice to see, like, a lot of people celebrating.
It's been a great day. Queues have been quite bad and British weather as usual, but the atmosphere, I think, has really compensated for it.
It's been awesome to kind of be here with so many other people, like-minded people coming, you know, to celebrate this awesome day.
We asked some attendees why they decided to make long trips rather than watching it from the comfort of their homes.
We wanted to be here, didn't we, for the history of it, really.
Once in a lifetime.
It is once in a lifetime.
It's really nice to see a lot of people like here together. Yeah. It's a fun experience.
It's nice just like seeing everyone together celebrate the same thing.
It is a special day, you know, no matter what your thoughts are, it's just great to be here. We get that feeling, you know, of history and everything else. And we're just here to celebrate, to be honest, you know, be in the crowd, remember this day forever and say, you know what, we were there.
We also spoke to some Nigerians on their thoughts on the ceremony.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, you know. For me, it's an amazing moment, you know, seeing the crowd celebrating the country. I've lived here for close to 20 years now, so it's part of their culture, you know, and I've also ingrained in that culture, and it's for me to embrace it and also pass it on to my child. They've been taught a lot at school, and he's been asking me questions, so the least I could do, you know, it's to bring my son out here for him to just take in everything and enjoy the moment.
So it's something we did not witness before due to age, but as we are here, and it's happening, so we want to say that.
Well, it's a monumental day witnessed by thousands of people who braved the rain just to be here, and they leave now with one message and hope for the long life of the monarch, shouting, "God save the King!" Teniola Oyetayo for Channels Television News.
But not everyone is excited about the coronation. For instance, these protesters have been arrested by London's Metropolitan Police during the coronation ceremony, including the leader of a prominent anti-monarchy group. The police explained that about 52 people have been picked up for various reasons and all remain in custody. Human rights groups say the arrest of anti-monarchy protesters is alarming. Leading the day's operation, Commander Karen Flynday says the protest is lawful, but it can be disruptive. Anti-monarchy groups have accused the police of heavy-handed enforcement, which began early today before the coronation. In the meantime, Nigeria's President-elect Bola Tinubu has congratulated King Charles III. In his message, the President-elect says he looks forward to engaging on different issues in the future with the newly crowned monarch, expressing hopes that the bilateral relationship between the UK and Nigeria would be even stronger. Part of his message reads, "It is heartwarming that your ascension to the throne is coming after the 70-year reign of your iconic mother, Queen Elizabeth II, whose death last September left the entire world in grief, given her eventful reign." He adds that he's impressed with King Charles's love for the environment, especially his lifelong crusade for sustainability and biodiversity. In part two, after the break, Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Ambassador Sharafa Ishola, will be joining us on the news at 10 to look at the Nigeria-UK relations as well as the coronation of King Charles III. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. It's a historic day in the United Kingdom as King Charles III and Queen Camilla are formally crowned at Westminster Abbey in a colorful event watched by thousands of people around the world. Dozens of world leaders witnessed coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla. President Muhammadu Buhari also in attendance. And third batch of stranded Nigerians returned to Abuja, more expected in the coming days. To discuss Nigeria-UK relations as well as the coronation ceremony of King Charles III, we're being joined by Ambassador Sharafa Ishola, Nigeria's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. He joins us live from our London studios. A pleasure having you with us, Ambassador. Now, you witnessed today's colorful ceremony of the crowning of King Charles III and Queen Camilla. What are some of the highlights for you?
Well, let me seize the opportunity to congratulate King Charles III on his ascension to the throne. He's not new in the monarchy. He's been around for a while as Prince of Wales. And this has really placed him in a position to understand the issues and the challenges that are ahead of him. Recall that Prince Charles, then now King Charles, has taken interest in environmental issues, particularly climate change. As far as Nigeria is concerned, is being involved in the Green World Project, which has to do with the afforestation of the northeast part of Nigeria, with particular emphasis on seeing to the drying up of Lake Chad. The Green World Project is a project that King Charles is highly committed to. And on a couple of occasions, I've been invited to his Sustainable Market Initiative. He's working very hard to bring the private sector into the climate change issue. I had the opportunity of delivering a paper on this in Kigali on behalf of Nigeria during the last Commonwealth Summit, Head of Government Summit in Kigali. And about 2 months ago, there was also another King's reception at Buckingham Palace with emphasis on getting the private sector as operators involved in climate change challenges so that it can always be with the regulators, that is the government, various governments all over across the world, and the operators, that is the private sector. So the Sustainable Market Initiative, it's something that is very dear to the heart of the king. And I must say that in recent times, the British institutions have taken interest in returning our artifacts. That's also something I believe the palace will also focus on. And as far as Nigeria is concerned, the king has Nigeria in his heart. On a couple of occasions at Buckingham Palace, he will ask after our president, and he's taken interest in Nigeria. You'll recall that he's visited Nigeria on a couple of occasions. So Nigeria is looking forward to a more robust relationship, particularly in the area of business activities, because I've had a couple of occasions brought to the attention of the British government that the flow of direct investment to Nigeria is not good enough for our relationship. And we look forward to increasing business-related activities away from the goods and services sector to foreign direct investment. So all these are issues that are of concern to the king. And we look forward to having better relationship on these and other issues.
Now, Nigeria and the UK share a lot of history. We go way back, and you've mentioned the return of the artifacts and the fact that Nigeria is really dear to the king's heart. But what more do you expect to see in the coming days during the new monarch's reign?
Yes, you know, we'll be seeing some positive developments from two angles. The one I've dwelled much has to do with bilateral relations between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. On the multilateral side, we expect more positive development in the Commonwealth because the King, as the head of Commonwealth, will have to provide leadership. And you know, Nigeria occupies a prominent place in Commonwealth. We are a member of the executive, being one of the largest 8 contributors to Commonwealth. Aside from that, we just assumed our position as the chairman of Acquisition Committee of the Commonwealth just in October last year, among many other things. And Nigeria, with our population in Africa, we are the most populated Commonwealth country in Africa. We are committed to this. We are committed to Commonwealth in many ways. You know, we have the same common law in terms of law and order, and that promotes a business relationship because where you have a country having a different operating a different law from the country of the investor, that may bring some delay in the investment agreement and coming together. I must also say that aside from common law, Nigeria still run largely on British curriculum, many of our educational institutions. So we also share the same on that. There's been a lot of cultural exchanges through the Royal Commonwealth Society and many other institutions. And you also know that to an average Nigerian outside Nigeria in the Western world, Britain is seen as #1 home. Our diaspora community here, it's very vibrant. Over 250,000 British Nigerians are here in Britain. And the population of Nigerians currently at Britain is 1.5 million, which is far and above the population of many countries of the world. So in the same way, Nigeria are making giant strides in various facets of the society here. We have 7 members of parliament as of today as British Nigerians. They're all doing well. On the British Councillors side, even the last election that took place yesterday, Nigeria had shown in many of the constituencies, among other things. And in terms of foreign students, last 2 years ago, we were very down, about 10,000, but it's now about 35,000, both postgraduate and undergraduate study as far as Nigerians are concerned. So I can go on and on. The presence of Nigeria here is so significant, and to the extent that nurturing and deepening this relationship, it's something that will be pursued vigorously under the King.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Sharafa Ishola, Nigeria's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, for joining us live on the News at 10. He joined us from our studios in London.
Thank you for having me, Generous.
The last time such a ceremony held in London was 70 years ago. At that time, King Charles was just about 4 years old. In this next report, our London correspondent Simon Pusey chronicles his early days and events leading to this coronation.
70 years since his mother was crowned queen, and that most regal of days is upon us again. Hundreds of thousands packed the area around Buckingham Palace to see Queen Elizabeth on the balcony.
She summed up later in her broadcast.
To her left, a young 4-year-old Charles trying out his royal wave next to Princess Anne.
Proudly wearing this school cap, an 8-year-old boy will shortly begin his first term at Cheam School, a prep school.
With his ancestors all educated by private tutors, Charles was the first monarch to go to school.
Family introductions open the occasion.
Here introducing Queen Elizabeth to his friends at Cheam School in Berkshire. He later went on to become head boy. He was then sent to Gordonston, a tough boarding school in Scotland, where his father, Prince Philip, had also studied. He went to Trinity College, Cambridge, to study archaeology and physical and social anthropology, but later changed to history. As a 20-year-old, Britain's King Charles was invested as Prince of Wales on July the 1st, 1969 at Carnarvon Castle. In the ceremony, Queen Elizabeth placed a crown on the young prince's head before he swore an oath in front of an audience of 4,000 invited guests and an estimated 500 million watching worldwide. As a young prince, Charles loved skiing, surfing and scuba diving. He was most notably a very keen polo player for more than 40 years. He played competitively until 1993, once suffering a double fracture to his right arm. He also rode as an amateur jockey in 6 races in 1980 and 1981, coming second on 2 occasions. He met Diana, later to become Princess of Wales, in November 1977. 4 years later, 600,000 people lined the streets of London to watch their wedding ceremony.
I pronounce that they be man and wife together, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Branded in the press as the wedding of the century, over 28 million people watched the ceremony live on TV. In 1982, they welcomed their firstborn, Prince William, and 2 years later, Prince Harry. Their relationship deteriorated, though, with the couple increasingly pictured apart, and they divorced in 1996, a year before the tragic car crash in Paris, from which Diana died of her injuries. In the years after, Charles is increasingly pictured with Camilla Parker Bowles, with the pair announcing their engagement 35 years after they first met in 2005. As Prince, Charles undertook official duties on behalf of the Queen, opening buildings, meeting foreign dignitaries and representing the Queen at events across the UK and around the world. He completed a total of 10,934 engagements between 2002 and 2022. When the Queen died, the throne passed immediately to Charles. The new king greeted mourners in central London as the queue to see the Queen lying in state reached 16 hours long.
Well, you know what you're getting, because he's been practicing for a bit. And I don't think he'll change. You know, he is committed to his own level of service, and that will remain true.
This his last official duty before his coronation, meeting MPs in Westminster on Tuesday. In some ways, it is the moment he's been waiting for his whole life. In other ways, it's just another day at the office, as the oldest sovereign to take the throne in a lineage that dates back 1,000 years, finally becomes king.
To other stories now. Nigerian officials have now received the 3rd batch of returnees from Port Sudan. 131 evacuees, majorly women and children, landed at Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport at about 2 this afternoon. Officials of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, are optimistic that the process will be completed, and soon too. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, was on ground and has this report.
The pilgrimage terminal of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport comes alive again as the 3rd batch of Nigerians in Sudan are received by officials of the federal government. Those evacuated include 124 adults, mostly female, and 7 infants. The officials are optimistic that the process will be completed successfully.
And that cause is to make sure that every Nigerian comes back home alive, safe, and with dignity. That promise we will fulfill. More aircrafts will be coming. As I'm speaking with you, the DG NEMA, who is coordinating the field response over there, along with MFA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they are receiving in their cell phones pictures of more batches moving in from one direction of Egypt into the airport location, which is Aswan, and more Nigerians are being manifest in Port Sudan for their onward return, homeward return from Port Sudan.
We have aircrafts even on ground as we speak. 2 are in Aswan, as I told you yesterday. They spent about 3 days there, so we're expecting them. So people are on their way to the airport. So hopefully they're going to take off tomorrow morning, and tomorrow afternoon again we'll be back to receive a large batch of almost 800 students. Those ones are students. Yes. And then Port Sudan will continue with the evacuation. The ATACO is going back. Air Peace is going to do back-to-back. And we have already started engaging Air Peace to go back because of 400 capacity. Air Peace has 274 capacity. They're going to do back-to-back.
Egypt is very strict with their laws, very, very strict. One more person, if you say it's 130, they want 130. So there are a case of 2 people that somehow got missing. So that is being sorted. So I want to appeal to our students to just follow their rules. Just follow the rules and be patient. So that is the problem with that one. So Egypt is very, 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 very tough with their rules. So they're looking for 2 people. And then some do not have the exit permit but found their way there. And once that happens, they'll not allow anybody to leave. So one person has a problem that affects everybody. But it's being resolved by our mission in Egypt. But appeal to our people there is just follow the rules. If you don't have an exit permit, wait until you get it. So that's the problem we're having from...
Some of the students also speak of their ordeal.
It was quite traumatic because we woke up out of nowhere on a Saturday morning, and then we could hear gunshots. We were sleeping. We woke up hearing gunshots with fighter jets roaming around the country, and it was really scary. But with time, and also about the evacuation, Nigeria actually tried. We appreciate that.
We had experience from whatever happened over there. Life was a little bit hard, but Alhamdulillah, we thank Nigeria for bringing us out from Sudan.
More Nigerians are expected to arrive in the coming days as 4 other aircrafts, including Air Peace, Max Air, Asman Air, and TACO Aviation, are expected to convey more Nigerians to the country. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
To politics now. Former Deputy Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Honorable Yusuf Gagdi, has declared his intention to run for the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives. He declared his intention at the unveiling of his manifesto and achievements in the 9th Assembly in the nation's capital, Abuja. He's promising to lead a transparent House of Representatives.
Ahead of the resumption of the 10th National Assembly, some elected federal lawmakers alongside friends and relatives of the lawmaker representing Pangshin, Kanke and Kanam Federal Constituency of Plateau State, Mr. Yusuf Gagdi, are here to support his ambition to be the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives.
Get them access to advantage.
Mr. Gagdi is a second-term federal lawmaker, and to achieve his ambition, he is courting elected lawmakers from other parts of the country as well as other political parties.
Gagdi has demonstrated bravery. He has shown courage. He has shown passion. He has shown that the leadership gap we have in Nigeria, that there is a hope.
He has been a very good man, a very trustworthy, and I'm very sure with people of his nature, we will have the kind of leadership we all expect Nigeria to have. So I would like to use this opportunity to pray to God to make you the next Speaker of the 10th Assembly by the will of God.
The 42-year-old was elected into the Plateau State House of Assembly in 2015, where he served as the Deputy Speaker, and in 2019 he won the election to the House of Representatives. During the 9th Assembly, he sponsored 6 private bills which were signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. He believes he has what it takes to lead the 10th House of Representatives.
If the House of Representatives is really the house for the Nigerian people, nothing stops us from adopting a unique way of voting by recording our decisions electronically. I will be the Speaker,
that will make you a representative fellow Nigerians vote publicly for you to know whether they vote for or against any policy and decisions of government. That will increase transparency in the conduct of the affairs of governance in Nigeria. I will structure our debates where the House of Representatives will not be bipartisan. I will tolerate views of the minority parties. I will respect constructive decision.
As he unveils his manifesto and a compendium of his achievements as a federal lawmaker, he pleads with the leadership of the All Progressives Congress and the president-elect to allow the lawmakers to determine their leaders.
From politics to security matters now, in Borno State, 30 months after Boko Haram terrorists killed farmers in Zambamari, a community 25 kilometers from Maiduguri, the state capital, families of the victims are yet to receive promises and pledges made by the government, foreign donors, and eminent Nigerians. Although security has greatly improved in the area due to a combined effort by the military, the civilian task force, and the entire community, access to road, potable drinking water, and other basic amenities have continued to elude them. In November 2020, a federal government delegation pledged better security and infrastructural development after the violence in the area.
This is the patchy road leading to Zamari community, which stretches about 20 kilometers from Gongulong community, where the tarred road stops. The community located in Jere local government of Borno State, stretching into the Sambisa forest and surrounded by water bodies, is renowned for rice farming, fishing and other petty trading activities, which locals engage in as their major preoccupation. It was in the course of sourcing their livelihood that 78 farmers were massacred on the rice field. Just like the graveside of the 43 dead bodies recovered and buried at the far end of the community, government have yet to redeem pledges made to families of victims of the attack 2 years and 6 months after. Fatima Abubakar, whose 2 sons were killed during the incident, is still hoping for the fulfillment of the promises. Besides the donations and food items given to us during the massacre, government has not said anything about the promises they made to us. The 2 children of my late son, Musa, attends a public school owned by Izala, and they've been responsible for their education. Residents speak on the current situation in the area. Organizations, government agents have thronged the community, collecting data and details when our people were killed, but they've not returned since then. Even the families of victims have been abandoned. It is the community that caters for some of them. After the incident, security around the community improved significantly as the military, civilian JTF, hunters and vigilantes have been working harmoniously in combing the bushes, which have yielded positive results. The residents also lament that flood has been a recurring challenge, destroying farmlands and submerging buildings in the community. However, they have to resort to self-help to remedy the situation.
The federal government says it's committed to reposition the Nigerian correctional centers to enable an effective reformation, rehabilitation, and reintegration of inmates for societal benefits after their jail term. While commissioning a 20-bed COVID-19 hospital, equipment, and power plant at the Medium Security Custodial Center, Ilesha, Osun State, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, said the facility, amongst 5 others, were built with the 2 billion naira COVID-19 Special Intervention Fund. However, he expressed displeasure with the situation in the facility and revealed plans to decongest it.
6 such facilities in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to address the challenge of congestion, especially in urban centers, and ease the burden of accommodation for inmates. We will soon be well. As I'm mentioning that, we have gotten the approval of the president to complete the abandoned 3,000 capacity facility in Ibadan. Olomi, the hospital we are commissioning here today, like several others, will go a long way in addressing the medical concerns of inmates and the NCOS personnel as well. NCOS means Nigerian Correctional Service.
Cultism in Ogun State will now be viewed as an act of terrorism, and those found indulging in it will be treated as terrorists. Governor Dapo Abiodun mentioned this while visiting Shagamu to commiserate with family members and victims of an alleged cultist invasion, which led to the death of 3 persons and left several others injured in the local government area. A visibly angry governor, who had earlier met with the palace and the paramount ruler of Remo land, promised to give the security agents all the needed support to end this incident.
As your governor, it is my responsibility to ensure your well-being and welfare. First and foremost, my condolences to the families of those that lost their lives. I also sympathize with the victims who are still in hospital. By the grace of God, they will be healed. Those that passed on, God will grant them eternal peace. However, like I said at the palace, I've instructed our Commissioner of Police and our State Director of SSS and the Army to find all those who are responsible for this reckless, this needless, this heinous crime. From today, I consider any act of cultism as an act of terrorism. Cult members will be dealt with like terrorists in this state. We are going to find them. We are going to smoke them out. They will be dealt with to the fullest extent of the law.
On business news, Nigeria's forex reserve has bounced back to positive territory this week after declining for 2 consecutive sessions. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows the country's FX reserve rose by $25.17 million week on week to close at $35.28 billion as at May the 4th. Some analysts believe the FX liquidity issues will remain over the short to medium term, as there appears to be no positive signal indicating an improvement in FX supply when compared to pre-pandemic levels. Forex market trading activity at the FMDQ exchange mostly positive as well, as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spots, forwards and futures market fell by 21.07% week on week to over $378 million. However, a further breakdown of the numbers, let's look at it. The total value of transactions at the I&E window rose slightly, 3.23% to $328.53 million, while transactions at the FX derivatives market fell by 68.8% to $50.36 million. Also, the value of Naira contracted as it fell by 0.06%, and that's about 28 kobo to 462 Naira 70 kobo against the dollar at the NAFEX window when compared to the 462 Naira 42 kobo it closed week the previous week. Some company news now. Foremost financial institution, Stanbic IBTC, has launched its Blue Blossom Community. That's a platform designed to provide Nigerian women with access to financial and non-financial services. At a conference in Lagos, panelists, guests, and attendees, especially women, talked on various issues such as savings, investment, capacity building, just to mention a few. They also shared their knowledge and experiences in the world of business.
It's the unveiling of the Blue Blossom Community, a value proposition for Nigerian women, hosted by one of Nigeria's leading financial institutions, Stanbic IBTC Bank. The event, which provided excellent networking opportunities for delegates, later transited into a series of panel sessions where topical issues were discussed.
Why should people invest?
It also featured a drama playset to entertain invited guests.
Blossom Community.
Speaking about the launch of the platform, the Chief Executive of Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Dr. Demola Shogunle, emphasized the importance of the platform to women.
We are launching it now, and we want everybody, every woman out there to subscribe fully because they stand a lot to gain. You know, Stanbic IBTC is coming with this Blue Blossom Community, and everything that we've done is to the benefit of our female customers, family members, their dependents, and the rest of it.
Keynote speaker and chairman of Stanbic IBTC Bank, Mrs. Shola David Boha, provided tips that members of the community can use to run their businesses successfully.
What Stanbic IBTC does is to really understand, what do you need? You know, what do you need? Where are you at? And make sure that we give you something that is customized for you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to build up the person themselves, you know, to make them knowledgeable, to be able to run their own business, you know, in a way that is sustainable.
On her part, Stanbic IBTC's head of enterprise banking, Jumoke Bello, highlights some of the benefits of belonging to the newly launched ecosystem.
It's not just about an account, but by having that community, you have access to learning from other people. You learn about how to save, how to invest, and how to grow. And that way, as you're growing, you're looking at your own family, the future of the children, and that's how it perpetuates down the line.
The Blue Blossom Community is helping to translate women's concerns and has presented a solution to enable them unlock their potential and take their rightful place in the world.
Now let's find out what's happening at the equities market. Positive sentiment resurfaced in the last 2 trading days. That's despite a slow start. Investors' interest in GTCO, Zenith Bank and Access Core supported the market as the all-share index advanced slightly by 0.12% week-on-week to close at 52,466.52 points. Also, the year-to-date return for the index increased to 2.4%. Analyzing activity levels, the total traded volume and value declined by 78.8% and 61.3% week-on-week, all at the same time, and all the key indexes on the sectoral chart are all looking green. CWG PLC met top performer for the week, followed by Academy Press, while Transcorp led the underperformers. Meanwhile, Transcorp, Access Holdings and Fidelity Bank top trades by volume, contributing 69.76% and 49.49% to the total equity volume and value traded in the week. On the other hand, NAS OTC Securities Exchange Index closed the trading week in negative territory, not looking good. The unlisted equities index fell by more than 0.5%. Also, turnover was lower when compared to the previous week. Volume traded fell by about 36% to 12.76 million units, while value dipped by 52.66% to 20.99 million naira. Shares of Central Securities Clearing System and Joe Fluid PLC advanced the most this week, while Industrial and General Insurance, IGI, led the losers for the week.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. We begin with the English Premier League, where Manchester City have survived a late Leeds United comeback to win 2-1 and go 4 spots clear of Arsenal in the title race. Now, Mohamed Salah continued his superb scoring form as Liverpool made it 6 wins in a row by defeating Brentford to move 1 point behind Manchester United in the race for top 4. Now, Harry Kane's record-breaking headed goal took Tottenham Hotspur to a 1-0 win over Crystal Palace and lifted his side up to 6th on the table. On the other hand, Chelsea won for the first time since March 11th and picked up their first points under interim boss Frank Lampard by beating Bournemouth 3-1. Totti scored his first goals as Wolves defeated European hopefuls Aston Villa to banish any lingering fears of relegation. Away from the Premier League, Sports has paid tribute to King Charles III on the day of his coronation. Players lined up as the national anthem was played before football and cricket matches throughout the country. Similar tributes were also held before Saturday's final round of games in the Rugby Union Premiership. Premier League matches in Manchester, London, Bournemouth and Liverpool also observed the national anthem. And back here in Nigeria, the Basketball Federation has invited 32 women's clubs to be part of the elimination tournament for the 2023 season. According to the Basketball Federation, the top 8 teams from both Atlantic and Savannah Conference will emerge from elimination tournaments to feature in the Premier League. The remaining teams will form the National Division 1 League. First Bank, Dolphins, MFM, Air Warriors, Kada Queens, Abia Black Gold, FCT Angels, Sunshine Angels are some of the prominent clubs that have been listed to participate in the elimination tournament. Let's turn attention now to the NBA, where Devin Booker has scored 47 points to help the Phoenix Suns defeat the Denver Nuggets 121-114 in Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals. Now, Booker also made 9 assists and 6 rebounds, while Kevin Durant scored 39 points as the Phoenix Suns reduced the deficit to 2-1 in the best-of-7 series. Jamal Murray had 32 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, while Nikola Jovic recorded 30 points and 17 rebounds for the Denver Nuggets. The series moves to the Phoenix for Game 4.
You don't have to run plays, and the team going to commit on the ball to you. I think that's when basketball is at its purest form. Guys are just playing on that backside and just playing off instincts. And you've seen TJ, he missed 1 3, but he was confident enough to come back and shoot the next one, and then went in. Then he made the floater as well. So if they're going to commit to us like that, we got to continue to trust our teammates, and everybody has to be confident shooting the ball. So, we'll see what happens next game. And by Game 4, you pretty much seen every scheme that they're trying to throw at you. So hopefully we be prepared for it.
We just missed some shots late, a couple defensive stops that we didn't get. But, sometimes you got to tip their cap and just, they made some really good shots. And even when we played good defense, they still, got offensive rebound on that play or whatever. So, it's things we got to clean up and, be a little bit disciplined, I think, down the stretch.
Meanwhile, Jason Tatum has collected 27 points and 10 rebounds to fuel the Boston Celtics to a 114-102 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 3 of the Eastern Semifinal Conference. Now, Jaylen Brown recorded 23 points and 7 rebounds, and Al Horford sang 5 3-pointers while finishing with 17 points and 7 rebounds. Joel Embiid, who was presented with the NBA Most Valuable Player trophy, scored 30 points and made 13 rebounds and 4 blocks for the Philadelphia 76ers. And James Harden produced 16 points to go along with 11 assists despite struggling from the floor in his second straight game in the NBA.
The guys just kept an awareness and a poise to what was necessary, and I think we lost the first quarter. And then I think we won the end of the second, third, and fourth. We lost the end of the first, and so I think we managed the game well at the end of the quarters. But we have, our guys continue to execute on the offensive end, which is huge against this team because of their ability to get out in transition. But there's definitely areas of the game that we can get better at, that we have to get better at.
I thought Jaylen was fantastic in the first half. That's the type of energy we need from him. Anthony Melton was overall great throughout the game. I mean, to miss league, he made some, he missed some. And Tuck was good as well, and Tuck gave us a lift, especially defensively. So, I thought we did enough. If we had executed better offensively, we got to execute better. We got to trust better.
And the NBA does it for us here on Sports News Tonight. Thanks a lot for watching. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Melinda.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. It was a historic day in the United Kingdom today as King Charles III and Queen Camilla were formally crowned at Westminster Abbey in a colourful event watched by millions of people across the world. We also informed you that many world leaders witnessed the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla. President Muhammadu Buhari also in attendance. And the third batch of stranded Nigerians returned to Abuja, more expected in the coming days. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.